I would like to introduce our next expert, Mr. Kapish Saraf. Sir is the co-founder of KidX Venture Private Limited, which is a private platform aimed at holistic development of children. Sir is an IIM Calcutta and IIT Kharagpur alumnus. He has over 10 years of rich experience in industry with companies like Rivigo, the Boston Consulting Group, and A.T. Kearney. May I now request you, sir, to kindly begin with the expert session?
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Perfect. Hello, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. And thanks for giving me this wonderful opportunity to address a bunch of, uh, promising superstars of India who are going to take the country forward. So I am going to talk about innovation in particular over the next 25 to 30 odd minutes. And innovation, while is a very powerful and well recognized word, but it is still something which is used very, very loosely by most of the folks. If if we ever ask anyone to say that what does innovation mean to you, these are some of the most common words or responses which I have heard in my interactions with thousands of folks. But I will pick a very simple definition of innovation. They're not really trying to get into an academic debate over here, but for me, innovation simply translates into a solution which adds value. This value addition might be to individuals, might be to organizations, might be to society, might be to the government, people at large, but a solution which adds value on those needs of any entity which are unmet. This is a very simplistic definition of innovation which has worked for me so far, but a solution which adds value on those needs of any entity which are unmet. Now, it could be new idea, it could be new application of an existing idea, it could be a product, it could be a service, it could be idea or execution, it could be patent, it could be original, it could be inspired by some other work, but the bottom line is a solution which adds value on needs which were currently unmet. And one of the most renowned corporate leaders, if we look at in today's world, Mr. Satya Nadella, I would want to champion one of the statements which he had made, that empathy is what makes someone a better innovator. What that fundamentally means is, again, if you go back, if you are able to appreciate unmet need of a person or an entity, and you are able to add value over there, that is where you are saying I'm connecting to a group of people or an individual people, understand their pain points, understand what they are going through, and then design a solution which solves for it, which adds value. And that, to me, translates into a very simplistic definition of what would qualify as a good example of a successful innovation. The first and foremost pillar for that particular thing is having empathy to identify needs of a group of users, discovering those needs. Those users can be anybody. And the pandemic has only exposed each one of us to different user groups. Someone has talked about migrant workers, someone has talked about industries getting impacted, someone has spoken about people losing jobs, but these are big user cohorts. And if anyone tries to fundamentally associate with any of these user cohorts, try to understand their pains, where are they coming from, is what will help you articulate that what is that one single problem which, if solved beautifully in the life of such user cohorts, can create delight. The United Nations has, when they have articulated what started as the Millennium Development Goals, were those themes that forget the boundaries of countries, continents, regions. What are those 10 or 17 unifying themes which are common for humanity at large? Which are those problems which cut across a massively large user cohort, no matter which country are they from, what age group are they from, which income profile are they from? And then if you say that I want to take humanity forward, I want to make lives of each of these individuals better, you have fundamentally said it's an empathy led discovery of the user's needs. But each and every user need does not merit jumping onto the same and trying to solve for it. There has to be, on one end, the right brain gives us the ability to experience empathy and identify which are the pain points to solve for. The left brain helps us quantify that into some unique format of measuring or articulating, is this a meaningful problem and is the thought solution a relevant solution? As what the other esteemed speaker before me was mentioning, innovation need not necessarily be just capitalistic. There are multiple different flavors to innovation. There are social innovation, there are innovation for which companies are always trying to do their best, but there is fundamentally an objective function. You might want to do an innovation to create $1 billion business, or you might want to do an innovation to improve lives for millions of people in a non-profit manner. But there is an objective function. And if anyone applies a quantified approach or a data-led approach to assess that whatever solution comes to my mind, is it solving for the objective function in a meaningful manner? So if we are saying we want to eliminate hunger and we want to design distribution channels to distribute free food to millions of kids, for how long can you do that? Who is going to sponsor that? At which stage will it become a self-generating solution? All of those are relevant questions to ask, which can help one assess that the proposed solution, is it going to qualify as a successful innovation or not? So to any budding entrepreneur or scientist or inventor out there, my simple recommendation would be keep these two lenses, these two perspectives in your mind. Whatever I am trying to build, is it solving for problem for a decently large group of people? Second, if that problem seems to be a decently universal problem, whatever solution I am proposing, will it help me meet the objective function? It does not mean that both of these two legs of innovation needs to be thought upfront. Maybe you start with empathy and discover a problem. But over the next 3 to 6 months, if you are not keeping yourself true to what you are doing, using the second leg of being a structured, analytical minded person who's measuring that how effective is my solution going to be, then you might be wasting your time. And for someone who has been gifted with talent and opportunities much better than most of the other folks in the country, that is a good self-reflection to have, that am I putting my natural gifts to best possible use or not? What I am going to share subsequently is the personal journey which I have had, which led me to KidX, and use that an example to highlight how have I treaded this path of innovation at KidX. So for us at KidX, me and my partner Amritanshu, both of us are friends for 17 years, batchmates at IIT, then batchmates at IIM. When we started our discussions, I think the first and foremost thing that came to our mind was, which is that user cohort which we associate with, which is that user cohort for which we want to solve for something. And think of it as, it is not really so much about is this a large segment or not. It is truly to say which is the user cohort you associate so closely with that you are willing to. Hello, am I audible? It seems like you
Yes.
guys lost me.
No, you are audible, sir.
Okay, and is the screen visible?
Not now. It was visible a minute before, but it's not visible
Okay,
now. Yeah, we
just
can speak now.
okay. So the user cohort that we most closely associated with had these three underlying macro trends. We said if we look at India, there has been a growing nuclear family structure over the last decade and a half. In fact, government reports say 70% of Indian families have nuclear family structure now. Second thing we said was, in the last 5 to 10 years, we are seeing, and it's a delightful phenomena, we are seeing that families are becoming double income family structure, which means no longer the male member of the family is the only earning member. Both the male and the female member of the family are jointly taking the responsibility of contributing to the family's income. And as of the latest statistics, around 30% of Indian families have double income family structure now. The third thing is that more and more females are calling it out that We want a single child family structure, whereas today 10% of Indian families have a single child, but 24% of females out of a survey comprising of a few lakhs of ladies across metros, different tier 2, tier 3 cities have called out that they want to have a single child family structure. So these three macro trends translated for us at KidX into a user cohort saying there are well-educated people with disposable income living all by themselves, and their child is alone and independent from a very young and tender age. Some of us, including myself, have grown up in joint family setup. There were 8 or 9 different cousins, and the child was never alone. But my son, when he's growing up, he's all alone. I am working, my wife is working. And the child has to literally be, and he's just 5 years old. He has to be on his own. And as a parent, we are very well gifted. We want to give the best to our child, but what we do not have is the luxury of time. So we decided that this is a user cohort which we feel very strongly about, and we want to understand that how can we help them when it comes to their kids. As we got chatty with 2000 plus odd parents, again across metros, tier 2, tier 3 cities, there was a very strong theme which started emerging. Parents have disposable income. They are unsure what is the best thing for my kid. They are lost, they are confused, they are overwhelmed. And the entire corona experience, while is a once in a century kind of a phenomena, but it only enabled people to articulate their thoughts in a much sharper and concise manner. You guys can read some of the thoughts that we have tried to capture over here. Fundamentally, a parent does not want their kid to go and earn 50 lakhs or 1 crore or 2 crores or a few crores of annual salary. Every parent wants their kid to go on to live a happy and successful life. It is impossible for them to ascertain that with a good confidence level that am I setting my kid up for a happy and successful life? Happiness would mean the child has an all-rounded personality development. The child is able to manage successes and failures with equal EQ. The child is able to manage stress. Successful means that no one knows which are the skills which are going to be relevant in 2030s, which jobs are going to be the most rewarding ones. So how do you, whether you decide that I want my kid to learn a particular skill from a young age, or do I want to teach my kid how to learn new things quickly? While the parent is grappling with these questions, you keep hearing XYZ company raised so much $1 million from a foreign investor. Obvious questions: should I register my kid? If someone is saying it's worth so much, so many $100 million, is it really good? Am I missing out on something? Should I be doing something as a parent which I otherwise am not? A friend of mine, she has sent her daughter to this particular set of classes. Should I also send my kid to those classes? And as Corona's impact only kept rising and rising, almost every company out there in the market starting chasing these parents, saying, buy my product, buy my service. This is the best thing for your kid. Imagine the plight of that particular parent. Husband, wife, both working, both under this constant fear of job insecurity. No, what is going to happen? Is my job safe or not? Being all alone at home, managing home chores, and even requiring 24/7 attention to the kid. They are all over the place. And this is that pain point that we said we want to solve for this. At that particular point of time, if I bring your notice back to this framework, it was only an empathy led user need discovery that we did. We did not try to measure whatever we are thinking. Is it going to be a short term thing, long term thing? But we said this is a user cohort which matters a lot to us. We feel they are under a lot of stress, under a lot of pain. What is it that we can do for this particular user cohort so that their lives become better? And we used this particular user pain point to create a product which we called as KidX DIY challenge, do it yourself challenge. So our simple articulation was, there are 5 broad themes for any child's development: physical skills, communication skills, socio-emotional skills, cognitive skills, and creativity and imagination. Now, different people can peg on each of these themes, saying in 2030s, which is going to be a big lever for success. I might say that creativity and imagination is going to be the key thing to go after in 2030s. Someone else might come and say that it is coding and that is why cognitive. Someone else might come and say that it is all going to be sports and entertainment and that is why physical skills. But we said the answer is in these 5 themes. Second thing we said was, all the kids are already getting exposed to a higher duration of screen time. Schools have had no choice but to conduct their classes online. So if a child is spending 2 hours to 6 hours online attending classes, parents are not really looking for solutions in which the child can come and sit in front of that laptop and attend one online class or another online class. The time for those would also come, but that is not what parents need during lockdown. So we said, let's run a national championship over 60 days. We will release 30 challenges. And these challenges are one unique life skill. This does not require screen time. It is at max a 2-pager self manual, which either a parent can read to the kid, or if a kid knows reading, can read it themselves. But over the next 5 to 7 days, the kid will practice that activity himself or herself. And that will teach the kid, one, give an exposure to all different kind of activities, help identify natural talents, help identify new hobbies. Second, teach the kid self-learning, that you should not be spoon-fed on everything, but you should have an approach in life towards self-discovering things and self-learning things. And thirdly, continuous improvement. On day 1, I was able to do this activity to a particular level. Over the next 3 or 4 days, I improved myself on that particular activity by practicing. So this entire designed unique concept we ran during May and June, and we were surprised that kids from 120 Indian cities, we have no physical setup, we did not even have an office then. Kids from 120 cities participated in this championship. Not only did they participate in this championship, when we took feedback from these parents, they loved us absolutely. The kind of feedback that we received from them, everyone wanted to participate another time again. People called out that they have been able to occupy their kid constructively during lockdown, that they would recommend KidX to their friends and peer group. And at this particular point of time, right, was the point where we then decided, let's apply a data-led assessment in terms of what did we do. While this was a unique event we created and ran over 60 days, I could have said the objective function is to solve for this user cohort for only lockdown, or is the objective function to say that I want to solve for these user cohort beyond the lockdown, or is the objective function to say I want to build a business around it, build this solution in a manner so that it can impact the lives of millions of people while giving us an opportunity to also build this into a solid business. And that is where, given that no matter which customer we spoke with, the kind of different unit economics that we experimented with in our pursuit to build this solution, we were able to translate this entire experimentation into a unique solution which we believe adds value to the lives of a large number of people, solving for their unmet needs. And this became a gamified product for self-learning to promote child's all-rounded development. Now let's draw parallel. So we said there are 5 themes for child's development. You can pick 15 activities, you can pick 30 activities, you can pick 45 activities, but across these 5 themes, you have n number of activities, and it can be run over 30 days or up to 180 days. And each of these activities are unique for every age group. A different set of activities for 3-year-old, a different set of activities for 17-year-old. And we need a minimum cohort of 100 plus kids. If 100 plus kids are there, you can organize a self-learning competition in which kids are participating over 1 month to 6 months, and you at the end of that duration say which is the kid which is best all-rounder across the chosen themes and across the chosen activities. And this particular thing, we put together our maths. To our surprise, is a 10 billion plus USD opportunity in India as of today. Not commenting on the rate at which this is growing, not commenting on the opportunity outside India, but this particular solution, a gamified version of self-learning. So think of it as any school can say, I want to subscribe to this product. over the next 12 months or 6 months, we will run a competition for 50 activities. Every child is mandatorily required to participate in each and every activity. There is no public sharing of a child's performance on any activity, but I, as a child, I will come and submit a solution for a debating entry. I will do an extempore as well. I will do yoga as well. I will do painting as well. I will do commentary as well. I will do stand-up comedy as well. I will do dances as well. I will do singing as well. On every activity, a neutral set of expert coaches rate those entries as, is the kid a beginner? Is the kid an intermediate? Is the kid a master? And that then translates into that the school can give an unbiased result that in each of my class, these are my best all-rounders and these are my closest challengers. But you are creating that enthusiasm in the kids to try out things without the fear of being judged, without the fear of being evaluated in public. And this is a beautiful, beautiful experience. We have heard from parents saying, my child is a right-handed kid, and only in your competition I realized that the natural foot of my child is left foot. I always thought that the child's natural foot is right foot. Some other parent came and told us that I always saw my kid as a sports person. I did not know that my child is good at dancing, that he was able to learn 5 dance forms in 15 days and perform each one of them for 1 minute each. So it is a beautiful journey of giving users one of the most powerful life skills for them to be happy and successful when they become adults. And this, we have realized, has the potential of becoming a massively successful innovation, and which we, if we execute properly, will also be a meaningful business opportunity. So that was all from my side. My intent was to use a personal example to just highlight this entire journey of how do you go about identifying a great innovation opportunity. Wanted to share this learning to also highlight it is no rocket science. I can show you bunch of different PPTs talking about these are the 100 amazing ideas different people are working on. But someone will work on those problems, someone will solve those problems. What will be a more relevant takeaway for this esteemed group of people, in my opinion, is how do you identify an opportunity? How do you assess, is it worth your time? And then how do you keep yourself true on that journey? If anyone has any questions, happy to take that. But otherwise, thanks for being